Okay,
All right, we
Yep.
all on?
Everybody's there, I think.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody, and to anyone listening, welcome to the regular meeting of the Town of Pompey Zoning Board of Appeals. And I'm David Tessier, the chairman. We've got all of our members here tonight. We've got Pat Frazee, David Hale, Don Neugebauer, Kevin Sharp, our secretary, Donna Allnut, our attorney, Jamie Sutphin. I haven't seen our code officer yet tonight, so he might get on. And who else do we have here tonight? Oh, our town clerk has joined us tonight. Nikki Reed is here. So
hi, Nikki.
So I think we're ready to go. We're talking about tonight an application from Richard and Lisa Cody for area variances, several. Property located at 2964 Pompey Hollow Road. And this is an adjourned meeting from September 14th. And we adjourned the hearing as well. We'll open the hearing reopen the hearing in a few minutes. The hearing is regarding a response to a request for a subdivision, and the subdivision requires several variances due to its location. And so we listened to it last time. We had an issue with it on the County Planning Board review, which has been completed, and the resolution received by the town, and they gave a thorough review to all of the issues, but the end result is their comment that they said referral will have no significant adverse intercommunity or countywide implications, which means they take no position. They did have a couple of comments that the applicant is advised to contact the Onondaga County Department of Transportation for site distance estimates for their driveways and to coordinate any requirements for the existing driveways. So those are just two comments, and they get a copy of this, so they're aware of the comments. We don't have to respond to those. So we can, since they took no position, we can make the decision on our own. We have we've received that, and I know there's something else we received. I've got a copy of a letter that our town clerk has sent to Town of Cazenovia regarding this application, which is something we requested that they do. And so we have done that as well. I have not heard back from Cazenovia, but Jamie's been working on that, and she's also prepared a area variance findings and decision document, which is quite thorough. If you've all got that, you can refer to that as we go along and get into the discussion and the voting. Is there anything else that we have received that anybody knows about since the last meeting that we need to bring up?
Thing, Dave, is the reciprocal easement agreement?
Yes. And I was going to ask you about that next, if there's anything. Did you get a response from Casanova?
We haven't heard anything from Casanova. I believe that Mr. Cody has talked to Casanova, however.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
They're going to require me once, at whatever the Pompey ZBA and the planning board decide, I have to go to the planning board in Casanova for a meeting the first week, or I've got it, it's in November, the first week in November. Then they're going to open up a hearing and I have to go back on that date to hopefully that they would approve. But there really wasn't, the thing is that they really don't have anything to do other than to understand what's been done.
Okay. So at least you've been in contact with them.
Yes, they're aware of everything that's going on right now.
Good, good. Any questions from the board at this point? Before I open the hearing? No, if not, then I guess I'd like a motion to open the hearing. Someone like to make that motion?
I'll make a motion.
Dave Hale, second.
Second.
Who's that, Don?
Kevin.
Kevin, thank you. Motion made and seconded to open the hearing. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we'll open the hearing. Does the applicant have any further comments at this point?
No, I've consulted with another attorney about the verbiage for the easement, and he was working with Jamie about that. Is late today.
Okay.
About
Yeah.
it. But no, it looked. I'm not an attorney, but it looked okay to me. I'm fine with signing it,
Okay, good.
and I'm okay with it.
If you would like, I'll just summarize briefly, but everyone did get it. And,
Okay.
you know, kind of just skipping through all the legalese of it. I understand from the discussion that we had at the last meeting, and the planning board also agrees, that they would like to have the Casanova lots tied to these lots so that it would be difficult, it's not impossible, but it would be difficult in the future for someone to sell off the Cas pieces and not have them hooked to these pieces. So this declaration of easement does run to the benefit of the town of Pompey, such that it cannot be changed or modified without the town of Pompey being on it. So the lot 1 of town of Pompey has an access easement over the entire lot line that goes to the lot, say the lot 1 to the lot 1 and the lot 2 to the lot 2 of Cas. And it's a permanent easement. So if in fact, at some point in the future, and this is not Mr. Cody's intent, but you know, years down the line, somebody wants to buy just the Cas piece and restrict the Pompey piece from access to it, they cannot do that unless they come to the town of Pompey. So I did work with Chris Danaher, Mr. Cody's attorney, and he took the first stab at the declaration, and he quite well knows what he's doing. It was an excellent easement, and I just added a little bit of language. Everyone's agreed upon it, and ultimately, if you do grant these variances, we will make it a condition that legal will review it. It'll be filed as with the subdivision map.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone has any specific questions, but I think that was the gist of it.
I read it over and it looked good to me, and it satisfies what I was looking for in such a agreement. Any other comments from anybody else?
So this, the barn that you want to convert into a house, the Casanova property, you still own it, obviously. That it's
I'm sorry, I need
1.4, it's
about a
1.4
30-second
acres.
break. I'll be right back.
It's 1.4, is it, without the Casanova?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. And I just, as long as you still own that property, obviously, so I'm just trying to clear my head to make sure I'm understanding. You're gonna have an easement onto this property down the road if you in fact do sell it. Is there enough above that? Is there enough in this property for a building lot?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There definitely is. And the one above, you're referring to the Cas or the Pompey?
The one that the barn's gonna be tied to.
The one that the barn will be built on will be in the town of Pompey. And there's plenty of room because we're not looking to make the structure any bigger than what the barn is right now.
Right, the footprint of that is the same.
It's the footprint, maybe there will be a garage. There will be a garage. So it might be but it will all be within the same square footage that exists. And the barn actually could be even a little smaller than it is right now with a garage. And we honestly, we don't have plans drawn up completely for it yet. So.
Okay. I know the last meeting, Pat had brought up the fact that when you X out of the Cas or the other property, it brings you down to the 1.4.
Yes, yeah, it does.
That's the only, that's the only drawback I got on that barn is it's reducing that lot size. I know the building's already there. If it was a brand new building going up, yeah, there'd be an issue for sure. But the building is there and you're just converting it into a house. And you're telling me last week you have enough room for a well and a septic.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the 1.4.
Mhm.
I wish it was a little bigger than that. That's all.
I know, and that's why we're in such a quandary here because when you look at it in conjunction with the actual, what that lot size will be that the easement ties together. I mean, it's 3.6 acres.
Right.
4.6 acres, excuse me, it's 4.6 acres. So I don't know what else to say. This is just kind of a situation that is just kind of presented itself. There's really not much else to say.
If this easement would get you more property to do this, but yet then if you sell it, it wouldn't be yours anymore, and then it'd go back to restricting that lot. But
Well, and the point of the easement though, Dave, is
To tie
that
them both together.
if he does sell it, then the people who still own that, the barn,
right,
still have a right to go to that property. So,
Right.
so the point is kind of who would buy it, knowing that someone else can go traipse across it and use it.
And to be real honest with you, I don't think that you'd have a really tough time building. I mean, yeah, you can build anything you want, but you'd have a tough time building on that lot, that Casanova lot. It's pretty steep. It's right next to the Route 20 on the north side.
right,
The access off of 20. I wouldn't. That would not be, especially at the bottom of that hill. It would just be any town or county that would grant access to that lot. It would be a really bad situation because it's right at the bottom of that hill.
right. But I mean, if you walked out from that field and stood there at Route 20 and
Yep.
looked up and down, I mean, you have sight distance for a driveway.
Oh yeah, you do. But I'm just thinking in the wintertime, people
Oh, yeah.
coming down that hill and oh man.
Oh yeah, people.
That'd be a tough go.
People build in strange places just
Yes, they do. That's correct.
But at least they would have to come back to this town of Pompey
Right,
for
right.
any permission, so.
Okay.
There are no other historical easements or anything that when the property was purchased, was there anything else that was on the not the title, but the survey Was there anything else that was, when you purchased it, that the prior owners, you had to sign something off that said nothing would happen, or?
No. Mm-mm. No, we do own a small sliver, a piece of property on the other side of Route 20, where the cows used to go on. There's a tunnel under Route 20 right off the southeastern corner of the property.
Is there really? I've heard of this, yeah. I've known some
That they
farmers.
used to have, the cows would go right under Route 20.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
now
interesting.
It's now a drainage ditch, so.
Yeah, I saw that on your, the actual survey. It showed a piece of land
But
across.
that can't get used. That little piece of property wasn't figured into anything.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
Is that landlocked on it? I know it has nothing to do with it.
yeah, it is. It's just one of those, there's not much you can do with it, really.
Right.
any other comments from the board? And we hear anything from the public tonight? Is anybody on wanting to comment or ask questions?
I don't see anything on Zoom at the moment, and there have been no comments on Facebook.
Okay. I guess I'm ready to entertain a motion to close the hearing. If there's no other comments, someone like to make such a motion?
No, I guess I'll make the motion to close. We're all
Okay,
set.
Dave Hale. Someone like to second the motion?
I'll give you second.
Don seconds. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the hearing's closed. All right. Now we've got to go to work and vote on these.
Dave, do we have to go through the five? Five, yeah.
Yes, we do. And but at the end of it, I would hope we can vote on all 6 of the variances all at once. So, but yes,
So-
first we need to go through the factors that we consider. And I guess I want everybody to think of all of the variances at once as we do that. So, first factor, whether the undesirable change would be produced in character of neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties. It's yes or no.
And again, it is on each of the 6 variances as a whole.
Yes. So think of the project as a whole, subdivision with 2 new properties that require these variances. I don't see any undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties.
Well, I would disagree. We've already gone through this, that 1.4 acres is not in character with the town of Pompey. A new subdivision at 1.4 is not in. So that is a change, and there's no way you can say that it isn't.
So we don't have to take a vote on these, but we do kind of a straw poll as we go through. Does anybody else have? I mean, I think that I personally don't think there's an impact on the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties, but does anybody else want to weigh in on that?
As far
Art?
as visual, everything looks the same. I understand what Pat's saying, though, and that's why I brought it up earlier.
Sure.
You're welcome to consider in this deliberation on answering these questions is whatever conditions you would put on. So if you might otherwise say it would be bad for the neighborhood, but the condition makes it better, then you can state that as well.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, since we have that condition that helps.
Jamie, can you please say that again? I'm not sure I caught that.
Right, so as you're determining whether the undesirable, for example, is there an undesirable change that would be produced in the neighborhood or a detriment? Your answer might otherwise be, yeah, and we're not going, and it's so bad we're not going to do this. Or your answer can say, Well, it's really mitigated by the condition of that we're kind of joining these two properties as best we can, so that you can consider that in answering this question for the example in the negative.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe that can be one of the reasons why we could say it's, that we could say no.
Well, I think the right answer to say it is yes, but we have this.
Yeah. We can say that.
I still think it's unique in that there's still 2.7 acres when you take that whole triangular piece and is that lot 1? Lot 2, I'm sorry. That is still there. I mean, it's not like it's being cut off and you're only down to 1.4 acres.
Well, as far as the town of Pompey is concerned, it is 1.4 acres.
But I find it to be it's a very unique situation. And
That
that
is-
won't sell off. That 2.7 acres will always be there. There's nothing that they can do on the Casanova side to take away from the 2.7, even though in Pompey it's 1.4.
Yeah, no, that's not true. They can sell that other property. The property is saleable. I don't think that the language is strong enough. I don't think the easement is a strong enough tie. It really is not tying that land permanent to the Pompey property. It's not tying. It's saying, yeah, if I sell it, somebody can cross the line, walk onto my property. The person that buys it is buying it with understanding that somebody can come onto my property. That's all it's saying.
So we're without the power to restrict what happens on the CAS parcel as part of this.
So that parcel
correct.
could sell.
It could be sold. It could be sold, but it's going to be subject to this easement.
The access stays.
Right. And that, it joins the two parcels together and they're used together and they can't change that access. Someone came in to buy the property, like let's say I'm a real estate attorney, like, hey, this other parcel has a right to cross over this piece forever. And the only way you can change it is if the town of Pompey says you can. That's going to greatly reduce the desirability of that lot to anyone because that person has an easement and it cannot go away and it's permanent for all time.
And there's no way of making a lot line or a change to like annex some of it back over into Pompey.
Said the word annex and
Sorry.
I don't think for this project, that's probably something that's worth undertaking. It's quite a process
Yeah.
to make Casanova basically give the land to Pompey. But good point. I mean, it's something
Just
for another project that might be worthwhile, but not this.
Okay.
Well, again,
Just-
I'm satisfied with having the easement on there that, I'm willing to say no to that condition. So, and again, none of these are fatal, but we do have to balance them all at the end. So,
Worst scenario, and you haven't drilled the well yet and you haven't had a perk, correct? If you have an easement into that property and I drilled, I can't get any water, I gotta go up the hill and see if I can, would that be allowed?
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah,
you have
I
an
own the
eas-
property.
Yeah,
that would be even better for our purposes because then you.
That's what I'm thinking. If you drilled the well up there, now
yeah.
now it's locked into you to a, that portion that you drilled the well in. So
All of it really.
So
because
now we're
it's-
down maybe 2 acres for the CAS side. Maybe it won't be so desirable. And I know down the road, maybe you're thinking, well, I want to get rid of it. I don't want to hang on to it.
So how do we get beyond this number one here? Do we just,
Probably do a poll as to whether the answer is yes or no, given the discussion. I heard it was unique. I heard the easement protects the neighborhood. Those were the two things I heard. Was there anything else? Dave?
Can I ask our secretary to just
Do a roll call.
do a roll call?
Okay. Dave Tessier,
I vote, let's see, I have to vote no, there's 'cause
Right.
there's no undesirable change. So I say no.
okay. Kevin Sharp,
I'm gonna say no as well.
okay. Patrick Frazee,
Yes, but.
okay. David Hale,
No.
no. Okay, and Don Nugebauer.
I'll go with no also.
Okay.
Okay, so it's
All
4
right.
no's to 1 yes.
So noted. Item 2, whether benefits sought by applicant can be achieved by a feasible alternative to the variance. I don't particularly see any alternatives here. He's kind of stuck with that piece, those pieces of property, the way they're laid out. Sometimes there's an option to buy next door. I don't see much help in that regard. Any other comments on that? Again, I think the answer is no.
I'd like to offer a couple of things on that. Because the buildings are where they are, they're set, so it makes a different configuration difficult. And also that option where that you might put in a condition like this, you can't annex the Cazenovia land. He already owns it. Sometimes you're like, oh, you could buy other land. Well, he already owns it, but
Yeah.
the municipal line is problematic. So
Yeah.
that's,
Any other comments on that one? Is no a reasonable response there?
No is fine.
Okay. Can we go on to number 3? Whether the requested variance is substantial. I personally don't think it's substantial, but I know others feel otherwise, so.
The only thing I would add to that is I think you could say it's substantial because they need 6 variances.
Okay,
That's a substantial amount of variances, but I would agree any one of them are not that significant.
I
yeah,
agree. Yeah, you're right, Don.
we can certainly put that in the note. It's an issue. Well, do we need to take a vote on that one as well, or is no an acceptable response? Well, with no comment, then let's leave it as a no. Number 4, would the variance have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood? Stuff like drainage. I'm not sure what else. Septic system. In general, I don't see any environmental impact in this case.
I agree. There's no new buildings going up. The buildings are there as far as watershed,
Yeah,
drainage, everything's been what it's been doing.
yeah. All right.
I also want to remind everyone that part of the subdivision process is that he's going to have to show the county that he can put in his septic system, and he won't be able to file the map. Or
That's
do
right.
this.
Yeah,
So there's further protection.
so I'm going to leave that as a no. Number 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, and I think that's almost an automatic yes, almost every time we view it.
Agreed.
He didn't have to buy the property. He didn't have to try to split it in half. So unless there's an objection to that, I think we should say yes.
Yep.
All right. So now the real question is, I guess this is the vote on whether we approve these variances or not. By saying the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community, or it does not. So if we vote yes for the variances, we're voting to state that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community. And we do have to vote on that. Someone want to make such a motion? I hope.
Yeah, I would say so moved on that.
Okay. Kevin says yes, or said Kevin makes the motion. We have a second.
I'll give you second.
Okay, Don, thanks. Any further discussion on the motion?
So what is the motion?
Motion is that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community, and therefore the variances are approved. Did I say that well enough, Jamie?
Yeah, I would go on with, I would leave it just at that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment and move on to the variances with the conditions.
And
So,
when you,
mhm. And therefore that they're,
We are not required to vote on all 6 independently.
it
not
does,
required to,
It wouldn't make any sense if we approved 1 or 2 and then, 4 of them were not, then the whole thing would just go down.
right, so Kevin, there are times when you could vote on, different variances. In this case, it doesn't make any sense because the buildings are already there. And, they are where they are and.
And I think as long as everybody understands the nature of each one of the variances and that it's obviously in black and white here, it's very obvious. It's an 11-foot variance, it's a 16.9-foot variance, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That it is clearly stated.
It probably would be a good idea to read them out loud, Dave.
the variances themselves, 1
Correct,
through 6, or the,
the variances. Mhm. They're right there on that last page.
on the last page.
Yep.
That's easier.
Mhm.
So the motion, to continue the motion, it's to, that the benefit to the applicant does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood or community as stated on the variances number 1 through 6. Number 1, an area variance of 0.58 acres on the minimum acreage required for a lot, allowing the lot 1 to be a total of 1.412 acres. Number 2, an area variance of 0.692 acres on the minimum acreage required for a lot, allowing lot 2 to be a total of 1.307 acres. Number 3, an area variance of 50.45 feet on the depth of lot 1. Number 4, an area variance of 2 feet on the front yard setback of lot 1. Number 5, an area variance of 16.9 feet on the front yard setback of lot 2. And number 6, an area variance of 11 feet for a front yard, which is also a side yard for lot 2. So that's the complete motion. Oh,
With
the
with
following condition, my apologies. That's the critical part. With the following condition, the applicant must provide a declaration of easement which provides that lot 1 shall have perpetual access to supplement lot 1 as shown on the provided subdivision map located in the town of Cazenovia, as well as declaration of easement which provides that Lot 2 shall have perpetual access to supplemental Lot 2 as shown on the provided subdivision map located in the town of Cazenovia. The easement shall be perpetual and run to the benefit of the town of Pompey. The declaration of easements must be approved by the ZBA attorney and must be filed as a condition of subdivision approval at the time the subdivision map is filed. The variances herein are subject to any additional conditions of the Town of Pompey Planning Board in granting subdivision approval. So that is the motion to Kevin and Don, who made the motion and seconded. Do you agree with that complete motion? Yes, I hope.
Yeah, I'm good.
Everyone say aye, I guess, yeah.
Okay,
Should take the roll call vote.
Okay,
Donna, please.
I can do that. Dave Tessier,
yes.
Kevin Sharp,
Yes.
Pat Frazee. I can't hear you, Pat.
He muted
Yes.
himself.
Okay. David Hale,
Yes,
Don Nugebauer.
Yes,
Okay, motion carries.
Okay, very good. Thank you all very much. We did close the hearing. And I believe we have some more business for next month. Small subdivision by a guy named David Warren on Gardner Road and front yard setback. So that'll be November 9th.
And just wanted to let everyone know, because I think this was a source of some confusion in the past. Front yard and side yard setbacks and rear yard setbacks in residential don't have to go to the county, generally speaking. So.
even if they're on a county road?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
It's an exemption
Yeah.
that the town of Pompey entered into with the county in 1994, I think it was. So we have that. And it's been provided to the town clerk. So there's a little more consistency. Now, these did have to go because there were some other variances involved. And if one goes, they all go. So.
Right.
Yeah. So that one will be able to be on for the next meeting, I believe. Otherwise, thanks for everybody's input. It was a good discussion. Very, very complex application, if nothing else.
Jamie, who do I ask? Maybe Nikki, you'll send us the information for the next variance that's applicant? So we know where to go to look?
Yeah, I have all of David Warren's information, so I forwarded most of it to David Tessier, but I can forward it to the whole board as well.
So it should
Okay,
be,
Nick.
yeah, thank you, Nikki. That should be forwarded. And Dave, it's our practice then to go ahead and publish the public hearing for the next available time,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, Donna, is it you and I who are working on those publications?
It was actually the clerk's office, so Nikki and you.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, Nikki, because I was working with
Marianne.
Mary Ann, right, so you and I can talk about that, so we need to get that publication out.
Yeah.
But it should be pretty straightforward. Okay.
So if you can get a notice to the board members, they'll have time to go look at it before the meeting. And I did, in fact, I asked the code officer to have the applicant, in this case, put 4 stakes out there where he wants the building, so you can.
Yeah,
tell
I
where-
believe he already did so.
Oh, good. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's all I've got. And
I
again,
just wanted to say one thing. I haven't had a lot of time with this board, but I think it's a really thoughtful board, and I think they're really, I think you're all really aware of the issues, and I appreciate all of your input. It's really helpful. And when I do these drafts, those are things that you have talked about. So
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was helpful. Thank you.
All right. Okay. If there's nothing else, well, meeting is adjourned and we'll sign off and.
Good
see you
night,
next
everybody.
month.
Good night.
Thank you all. I appreciate all
Do we
your
have
a-
time.
Thank
Do
you.
we
Okay,
have a
Rich.
first and
You're welcome.
Good luck.
Dave,
Yep.
do we have a first
Yeah.
and a second to close the meeting?
Oh, motion to close.
David Hill, motion to close, and
Yeah.
who second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.